Hey, welcome to UK Wildcrafts. I'm Lewis, and in this series we're going to take a look at some of the wildflowers we may see while out walking in the woodlands, parks and meadows this spring. This isn't one of my normal foraging videos. Some of the plants in this series are toxic, so this is just about learning to identify and enjoy some of the wildflowers growing around us. These are lesser celandine, Ficaria verna, a member of the buttercup family. These early spring flowers form a beautiful golden carpet on the woodland floor. And these flowers are a good sign that better weather is not too far around the corner. They flower in March and April. They're mostly found in woodlands, also around hedges and riverbanks, and they prefer damp areas. They usually have 8 petals, but sometimes they can have up to 12. They're a golden yellow, and if you hold them in the sunlight, they're really glossy. The flowers close up at night or when it's really cloudy, so you'll only see them fully open like this in sunlight, and they can often have a greenish tinge to the back of the petals, and they grow up to around 3 or 4 centimetres across. The leaves are heart-shaped to kidney-shaped, and they're often variegated with these distinctive white patterns on them, and the leaves grow on quite long petioles. These are wood anemones, Anemone nemorosa, also known as windflower. You'll see them in flower from early March through to around May, and they're another member of the buttercup family. So they have 6 or sometimes 7 white petals, although technically I believe they're tepals, not petals. They're usually a bright pure white, sometimes tinged with a bit of pink, especially when they're just opening. And also on the back of the flowers they can be tinged with pink. They're a woodland flower, and they're an ancient woodland indicator, so you're much more likely to find them in old natural woodlands rather than in plantations. The plant is found all over the UK and temperate Europe, wherever there are woodlands older than around 400 or 500 years. Its leaves look fairly similar to several other buttercup species. Each leaf has 3 lobes, which are deeply divided. And the plant grows upright on a thin reddish stem, and you get 1 flower at the top of the stem. Primroses, Primula vulgaris, are mostly seen in March and April. They can be found in woodlands, parks, grasslands, and especially at the bases of hedgerows. They're an important source of nectar for early pollinators. The flowers grow as a single flower per stem. The stems often have a reddish tinge, and they are hairy. The flowers have 5 petals that are pale yellow and a darker yellow towards the centre, and the petals are notched. The leaves have a very crinkly texture, and they have a pronounced white midrib on the underside, and also the underside of the leaf is quite furry. This is common lungwort, Pulmonaria officinalis, a plant in the borage family. The nectar of the flowers is an important food source for bees, and apparently it's a favourite of hummingbirds too. It can start flowering in February through to May. The flowers start off a pinkish colour and turn a bluish purple in a similar way to the closely related borage. The flowers grow in clusters, they're funnel shaped, and they have 5 petals each. They have broad oval leaves with circular white markings. This is wild chervil, Anthriscus sylvestris, also known as cow parsley. This member of the Apiaceae or carrot family will be in flower from March to around June. The tiny white flowers form umbels, or umbrella-like clusters, which are typical of the carrot family. Each flower has 5 tiny white petals, and if you see, the petals around the edge of the umbel are slightly larger than the other ones. Wild chervil is really common, and it will grow just about anywhere, especially on woodland edges, roadsides, along paths and the edges of fields. It's an important food source for all sorts of tiny pollinators, especially small flies and some butterflies. There are several species of violets that can be found growing wild in the UK and Europe. They can be this lovely violet purple colour, they can be white, or several different shades of blue. You'll mostly find violets in woodlands and at the bases of hedgerows, and they usually flower from mid-March to May. Violets have 5 petals. They have 2 at the top that fold back like rabbit's ears. And they've got 2 on the side that fold forward, and 1 at the bottom, which is usually heavily veined. If the violets have a sweet smell, then they're sweet violets, Viola odorata. If they're odourless, then they're probably dog violets, Viola raviniana. Violets have heart-shaped leaves. You'll see they look very similar to the lesser celandine leaves, but the violet ones lack the white markings on the leaves, and also the violet leaves are slightly hairy.